Hey there, so glad that you're tuning in to the football podcast from WePlayStrong. This is the first ever UEFA Women's Football podcast, and we're talking about some of the biggest challenges in the game with some of the biggest stars in the game. Always giving you a friendly reminder, if this is your first episode, make sure to check out all of our other episodes. Subscribe and comment. You know how it works in the world of podcasts, sharing is caring. Before we get into it, be sure to check out WePlayStrong on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. This is a women's football podcast and we talk about all the things involved in being a female footballer. So, in this episode, we're going to take you on a journey in the world of menstrual cycles, stress incontinence, and other topics in relation to performing as a female athlete. Because being a woman and being an athlete can come with uncomfortable challenges, how can we create an environment where there's more research and openness about these challenges? This is the one where we shouldn't mention our periods and pee. Please join the conversation by using hashtag WePlayStrong and be sure to subscribe to the football podcast and of course leave us a review. My name is Hehakaija and I will be your host. And as you know, I don't do this on my own. Joining us for today's podcast, Nadia Nadim. How have you been?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Rocky. Yeah, really good. A bit cold because it's minus degrees here in France, but otherwise doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, is it snowing in Paris?
Yeah, it's been really cold. Like cold.
Yeah. I know that you rather love the sun, but yeah, it's winter times. And as you know, it's not just the two of us today. We have a very special guest for this episode. I think you know her. It's the one, it's the only, Lucy Bronze. Welcome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm probably a bit cold as well, like Nadia, though. It's freezing in Manchester as well at the minute.
What a surprise!
Yeah, it's a surprise because it's not rain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. We have that weather condition as well here in Amsterdam. Rain all the time, but it's good to have you here, Lucy. Have you been listening to the podcast?
Yeah, I've tuned into a few of the podcasts. Obviously, a lot of the girls who I've played with have been on them, so I like to tune in and see what they're chatting about.
Cool. All right. So, as you know, today we're going to talk about periods and performance. So let's talk about the untalkable. When it comes to the natural functions of the female body, that somehow became a taboo in society. And it's a fact that there's a lack of research, a lack of discussion, so automatically a lack of understanding about these topics. And this could easily hinder the performance of female athletes. So, your period. As an athlete, do you think that your menstrual cycle has ever affected your performance, Lucy?
It's funny because now that I have a lot more information around it, I'd say yes. But previously, I would never be able to correlate those things together, because there's so many other variables when you play football, whether it's what you've eaten, how you've slept the night before, or if you're playing away and, you've not liked the bed, it's too hot or what have you. But recently, over the past kind of year and a half, been given a lot more information, and then you kind of connect the dots and you go, oh, actually, that was the same, 5 weeks ago. I was at the same point in my menstrual cycle and I felt the same and I had a similar performance or effect on my performance as I did then. And then, as you start to clock it and record it and get more information, you start to see that correlation. But before that, I'd be like, no, I'm fine. It's not an issue. I'm okay. I know there's a lot of girls who struggle with stomach cramps, but I think I'm quite good. I kind of get on with things and I feel fine. But yeah, I would have said no before, but definitely now that I know more information, 100%.
I haven't really been aware of it for a couple of reasons. First of all, because I felt that it wasn't something that we spoke so much about, our kines, our doctors around the teams, our physios. It's just been lately that this has been a topic that we discuss or something that they monitor. This is new for me. You know, I've been a lot of places. It's just in Paris that I've actually find out that we have this app, you know, where you tell everything about like how sore you are, how much you slept. We do it everywhere, but the you know, the cycle, the period is a new point of view on that app thing. And then and as she said, you know, I think it's probably been something that, you know, because you feel more fatigue, you feel I don't know, a bit more irritable, you know, and some people do have really bad cramps. Luckily, I'm not one of them. I feel like I'm not like so severe affected by it. But who knows, maybe some of the injuries that I've had during my career could have been avoided if I knew that I was a bit more weak or more in a higher risk right now because of, you know, your period.
Yeah. And so you're saying that this for you started at your current club in Paris. And Lucy, when was this for you that you started realizing, hey, this is something that we need to get into?
I think it's always kind of been there, but I don't think the subject's really been explored properly. And I certainly think at England with the national team, everyone knows we got Dawn Scott from the US team, the signing of the season. And yeah, you know, she's just one of those ultimate professionals. She wants to, you know, tick every box, look under every rock for every little piece of information that she can get to help you. And that was something that she documented during the World Cup with the US national team that made a difference to them. That was something that was pretty much the first thing I can remember her implementing with us. We hadn't even met up. She hadn't even been to camp, and she had us on the phone to this lady who does a lot of research, has a PhD, and that's kind of her area. Had us on the phone, had us doing meetings with her, you know, before we even touched base with Dawn and got into camp. So, you know, she saw it as the kind of ultimate thing to get on, to get sorted, and to know more information about and to work it out for each individual.
Yeah, it sounds like an amazing signing. Just what you said, very valuable. And then getting into like the conversation, like in the dressing room. Is this a conversation talking about menstrual cycles? Lucia, are you talking about this subject at your club and also at the national team? I think yes, but can you explain how?
Yeah, I think like you said, I think it's become more normal now to speak about it. And I think, you know, when Dawn Scott's come in and she's wanted to give us this information, as soon as you kind of look at this information as information, you look at it logically and you look at it as a performance factor. You know, the same way as you would look at nutrition, the same way as you'd look at sports science, you know, all these boxes that you tick to be a professional footballer, that's just something that's also there that, you know, you can contribute to performance and the way that you're playing. So then it becomes an easier subject to just look at logically. Whereas I think too many people, it's like, oh no, it's your period, no. Whereas you just get to the straight facts of it. It is something that happens in your body that can contribute to performances. So, you know, I don't know why then there has to be an issue about it. It's the same as, right, well, you need to eat more to get more energy. Similarly with your period, you have those same conversations depending on what week or what cycle you're on. Oh, you need to eat more because you're on week 2 of your cycle. Week 3, you need to eat more of this, or you need to do more of this. It just becomes that second nature. So at the England national team especially, like the last camp, funny enough, so we've been told that there's 4 phases of your period, and this can your hormones are different in each phase, and you need certain different nutrients. When we walk to breakfast, there's 4 phased smoothies outside.
No.
So if you're whatever phase you're on, which the doctor and everybody already knows, you take a smoothie before you go to breakfast. So everyone's like, oh, I'm phase 2.
Level.
I'm phase 2. I need to take this smoothie, which is the strawberry with whatever, or oh, I'm phase 4. So then even at breakfast, it's just a talking point at breakfast. Or what smoothie have you got?
That's pretty amazing.
I know I should be telling all our secrets, really.
That's pretty cool. I'm taking notes. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, let's introduce this
cool.
In Denmark and at Paris.
Seriously though, that's amazing. It's so smart, you know, because as she said, I think during your periods, obviously, you know, one thing is that like certain people do bleed a lot, and then they need to have supplements in terms of like iron, you know, the ferro tablets, and or you take copper because it's anti-inflammatory. But also, as you said, you know, different phases you need different vitamins, so that makes so much sense. I've like, it's actually really genius that you're gonna have like, okay, she's gonna be needing more vitamin C, so I'm gonna make her like something citrusy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but so now it's like the talk of the town. We're talking periods. It's pretty normal, but it hasn't always been like that, right? Or have you seen it change through time? And it feels like it's just been changing like yesterday.
Obviously, it's always been there, but people just have never done the research. You know, people just seem to have not looked into it, and then the information's not there for athletes or for the staff members, the sports scientists to use. So, you know, we're all, you know, there's that age-old thing. You know, I think Nadia kind of touched on it before. You get so many girls who get injured and they think, oh, I was on my period when I got injured, or it was the week after, and you try and contribute it, and you try and, again, link up these little dots together, but you don't have that information to be able to do it. But now, over the past kind of year, 2 years, that information's become available for these experts in sports science and in football clubs and in general sport as well, because I know Dina Asher-Smith, a 100-meter runner in England, she uses this information as well, and she contributes a lot of it to her top performances as well. So I think it's just getting it into female football, getting that information. And I mean, what professional doesn't want something that's going to make them better? You know, wants that information that's going to make them better. Give us the information and we'll use it. You know, it's kind of that simple.
Definitely.
But it's, the information's kind of only been ready available in recent years, sadly, for us.
Yeah. And Nadia, how is that in Paris Saint-Germain? Like the conversation you said, you started there, you already have an app. Like I said, it feels like the talk of the town in Manchester and in the England squad. But how is that?
It seems so. Seems like the hot topic there. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like that much as in England. I think, you know, it used to be always like something taboo, like. I mean, some places still is something that's like you should be ashamed of, and you don't want to talk about it because, I don't know, people are somehow disgusted about it, which I don't understand. And in terms of, you know, why it's always been there, but why is this something that we just start acting on right now? I think it's because the women's game is becoming more professional, and you're trying to seek every little inches to perfect your performance. And I think that's where we are at in PSG right now, you know, and because they know there's a lot of research behind it that shows that you're more vulnerable and you're more prone to get injured. So that's why they try to do, okay, if you didn't sleep really well and you're on your period and you're a bit sore, maybe today training is not going to be so hard for you. So we're going to take you out, you're going to bike, you know, obviously beside the obvious effect in terms of like, you know, having cramps and being in pain, but just normally, like sometimes you just feel low because your body doesn't have the energy to concentrate, you know, of you recovering your muscles. So I think they are really keen, you know, and our doctors are always like, really tell us when you're in period. We get the cover and the which is the anti-inflammatory, we get the iron supplements. We get checked a lot if we are low on iron because of, you know, periods. So yeah, I think it's great to see that, you know, we are getting professional, but also that it's not just like we're copying everything that's been done on the men's side, but actually trying to figure out what is important for us, you know, for the women's body, because it's so different. There's so many things that are so different, and then like I feel like until now it hasn't been really a topic to talk about because we didn't have the budget. We weren't like really 100% in it. We just copied theirs. But now, like, we open these doors, try to improve the little things, and something that works for them might necessarily not work for us. That's why they're like, okay, maybe we should touch on this, which I think is pretty cool to see, you know. And I hope also this podcast, we're talking about it, you know. I think a couple of years before, it wouldn't really be something that people would want to talk about. So pretty cool.
Don't you feel like you've been missing out, or is it like, no, we're happy that at least there's attention to it, we're working on it, we've got experts like Dawn Scott, Nadia, you're also an expert, we're going to talk about that a little later. Yeah
I don't know about that. After hearing all the stuff she's coming with, I'm like, damn, why didn't I think of this now?
You've been doing your thing. No, but like seriously, are you not like, we could have been doing this way earlier, and then I could have even easily performed better? Because I mean, how old are you, both of you, now?
Oh, 29.
Sorry.
29? Yeah.
I'm 33.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm 36, and in my time, nothing was ever discussed about this. But I feel like a senior. But do you feel like, we could have done this earlier in time, and then we could have even like get more progress from it as well, or benefited from it as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but I literally say this in every interview, whatever it's about, that I always sit on the fence with anything like this. Because you've got to be like, I'm so grateful, for example, that the information's there now, that we actually are doing it. You know, we can't ever be ungrateful for that fact that we actually are getting somewhere, and the ball's got rolling finally, because, you know, I'm in a much better position than, Alex Scott, for example, who was the right back before me at England, for the 10 years before me. So I've got to be grateful for that. But then on the other side, I also do have to have that side of me that says, why do I have to, why am I so thankful? That should be that way. And it's the same with everything. We're going to speak about like equipment and clothing for women later. It's the same with that. We all got our bespoke night kits for the World Cup, and we was all like, this is amazing. I love it. It's so special. And it is, and it was, and we can celebrate that. But there's always the but. It's always, but why wasn't it sooner? And I think that's like with everything in women's, in society for women, in women's sport and women's football. But yeah, we can just hold our heads up high that we're still a driving force, and that we've still got places to go, and that the sky's the limit. I think you got to kind of have that balanced outlook on any of these subjects. And I think menstrual cycles are the same. And, like Nadia's saying, there's so much more information to get from this. So this is kind of just the beginning, and I think we can just be grateful that at least we've got to this point, finally.
Yeah, true. Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say preach, sis, preach. I'm like, damn, okay.
Yeah, no.
Not sure.
And Lucy, you just spoke about Dawn Scott. I mean, she's a legend. She's the high performance manager at the England squad. And we're very jealous of you. And not only that, she's a role model, an innovator in the world of female bodies. And I mean, she designs programs, food schedules, does research. She just makes sure that you will perform at your best. And you already spoke a little bit about it, but how does she influence you and the team?
I mean, Dawn Scott is just obsessed. Like, that is the word for her. Like, whether it's on an individual level or a team level, when there was the lockdown with COVID, or when you're even on a Christmas break, this woman's just obsessed with getting gains, pushing you to be better, no matter who you are. If you're at the top of your game, or you're just getting into the squad, whatever it may be, she's obsessed with it so much, and she loves it. I think that's the exciting thing, is to have someone, and a female as well, who's just so obsessed with this performance and being the best. And, she just doesn't care. She'll just run through a brick wall to get things done. So her impact on us as individuals and our England team is fantastic. It's just been a shame that over the past year, our time with her has been limited for obvious reasons. But yeah, she's already had such a good impact on us, finding out these little things to make us individually better. And it's good, because not only is it for us as a team, which is what we want. I mean, I want England to be the best team in the world. But, I can share my information with you guys. I can share that with, when I was at Lyon, with Lyon, now that I'm at City with City. And then, it kind of spreads throughout. And then the same as PSG are doing it, then other French teams are going to go, oh, well, we want to do it. And it's just kind of everybody's starting to get involved. And yeah, I think Dawn Scott, she's probably not like to admit it, but she's kind of one of the leading forces in that, which is fantastic to have her. But it's great that it's just kind of trickling out into everybody now.
Pretty sick.
Yeah, and Nadia, if you hear all of this, is this then for you a trigger that you're like, oh, I really want, an expert like that in the staff of Paris, or do you already have these types of experts?
I think she sounds amazing. You know, I think what Lucy's telling me, like, I would love to like meet her just because she seems so like energetic, and I love those kind of people who are so passionate about it, because I feel it spreads. You know, if someone's really really passionate about it, the energy just makes you like, you know, want to learn and like, you know, and do more. So in that term, but I mean, obviously we don't have her, but we have amazing people in PSG on the national team as well that do their best. You know, they try to figure out how to improve us as a players, you know, as a team. But yeah, she sounds interesting. Love to meet her one day. I'll be like, hello.
Yeah.
I know you're not working with us, but
You're like, hello, I've just got a few questions for you.
I'm gonna be like,
so these smoothies.
I'm gonna be texting her after this. Yeah, and I'm like, so what do you put in the smoothies and how?
I think we're gonna have to be on the lookout for the England squad in the upcoming Euros, because you know.
If this happens, I'll be like, it's smoothies.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right. So is there a particular moment where you felt your performance was affected by your menstrual cycle?
Honestly, I don't have one moment where I was like, this is that moment, you know. I think obviously there's been times where I've been more tired, you know, and more just like fatigue. And I knew the cause was like, you know, your period. But I don't really have like one moment there was like, that day I missed that chance because, you know, not like that. I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I'm not a goal scorer, so I don't have chances to miss or anything.
Oh,
but
stop.
You know, I think.
Well, you do score goals.
I was like, stop, bro, stop.
No, if you look it up, I don't score a lot.
No.
So yeah, but I mean, we have an app as well, and you follow it. And after speaking to Georgie, who's this expert who works with Dawn Scott at England, and I was saying, I don't have symptoms of periods. I don't have, you know, the stomach cramps that a lot of girls have. Like Nadia said, like I felt, I'm one of the lucky ones probably. And then we was going through symptoms, and I was like, oh yeah, like I lose my appetite a lot. Sometimes I get really hungry and crave loads of like bad food, like a lot of people do. But there was other times where I was like, I don't feel like eating. And when we looked at it, it was to do with my period and the different phases. So then there's been times where I've been in a tournament, say the World Cup, or, you know, last year with the Champions League, and we had 3 games in 1 week, and I'm starting to lose my appetite, and I'm thinking, oh no, you know, I can see it's coming on the phases on my app, and I'm thinking, I'm going to start losing my appetite now. Luckily, I see that now on the app, so, you know, I can have some shakes or something and just, you're supposed to eat whatever to get the energy in, but I can't because I've just not got my appetite. So now I've found ways to counteract it with special drinks that Man City have been able to provide for me, with England being able to provide for me. But I know in the past, I've never known that. You know, I've just thought, I'm not really hungry today because I've played a few times. But actually, it's because of my period that I'm not hungry, and I can already see it coming up. So I can already prepare to start eating more, or prepare my drinks that I need, or prepare certain foods that I know I'll still be able to eat. So I think that's kind of been a big thing for me in the last year, but it's definitely, in World Cup especially, it's affected performances, because there's no substitute for having that food and energy in your body. Your body just does not want to move. So definitely I've experienced those kind of things before.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. So Nadia, at PSG, you said that you were using an app. How was that at Denmark, at the national team?
In Denmark, actually, unfortunately, we don't have the same app. We're not monitored the same way. But let's see, maybe that's going to change after this podcast.
Exactly. So there's, I think, also still a lot of grounds to win. So doing this at Manchester City, at PSG, the England squad, the USA women's, but then Denmark, and I think also at the Netherlands, they are not doing it just quite as they could do it. So Lucy, how was that, for example, in comparison to you playing at Lyon? I mean, the biggest club in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was anything that was focused on at all, really. I think towards the last couple of months when I was leaving, towards the end when I was going to leave the club. There was a little bit, but again, I'm obviously I still speak to a lot of the girls, and play with Keats at England, Nikita Paris at England still, and yeah, there's not as much information around it or support around it as what there is, with our national team. And Man City are very good at it, and I know a lot of the English clubs are as well. But similarly, I do think that is because, ultimately the league in England is run by the Football Association, who runs England.
Right.
So obviously, Dawn Scott kind of gets to oversee the clubs in England and offer her feedback and information. And anything that we do at the English national team, a lot of those things, periods, obviously one of them, GPS, these kind of stats, does kind of filter down through the leagues. So I think that's why I'm quite fortunate that I play in the country that I play for, and the country I play for does have a lot of access to these things. Whereas with the French national team, I know it's probably not something that they do as much, maybe similar to Denmark, they don't do as much. So then it's not really filtering through the clubs and the players, like I spoke about before, really. But yeah, I mean, Leon, they have the sports science there and everything, but it's just not really an area that's got a huge focus on, even though, like we're speaking about now, it can have such a big effect on performance.
Yeah, definitely. I remember this one time, and I was on my period, and I also played futsal. Back in the day, we were still able to play in on the pitch, and then also play in the futsal team. And we wore white shorts, and I was on my period, and my mother from the sideline saw that I bled through my shorts. And so she coached me like all across the hall, the field, and everybody could hear this. They're like, "Hey, Rocky, you got it." And I was like, "Oh, and I had to run off to the dressing room to change my shorts. And I felt embarrassed, of course. I didn't want to come back on the field. But then again, I was like, it's just women. And I mean, it happens. But I mean, I wish we petitioned for black shorts, because there's this story, and it's a pretty cool story, of a young girls team in Sweden at Rein Schulme. Their kid has always been traditionally white shorts. Historically, it was a men's club, but the girls eventually petitioned to be allowed to wear black shorts, so they didn't ever have to worry about bleeding through. So I just wanted to put it out there. Nice. Great effort. Yeah, really well nice. I wish I had petitioned it as well. But I mean, is clothing something you think about within performing, Lucy?
I don't think it's something that I think about, although when I think now, Man City's white shorts, Leon's white shorts, and England's white shorts. So I think it is a topic that's spoken about a lot in the teams that I've played in. And I know there are girls at England and City who, the clothing that they wear does affect them. So they tend to wear an extra layer. You wear the cycling shorts, and sometimes I'm like, it's so hot outside, why are you wearing cycling shorts? You don't need that extra layer. And they're like, yeah, I'm on a period, so it's just in case. Or at Leon, we was lucky we had 2 sets of kit for every game anyways, which was more for the weather, but it's still a lot of people were like, oh, there's the spare shorts there as well anyway, which I think that's something that should be a big thing. But I think for young girls especially, you might not even have started your period, so you wouldn't even be prepared with tampons or anything anyway.
Right.
So maybe, young girls teams, it probably should be kind of, maybe not a rule, but something like that where, why just don't put them in that situation? Obviously, as we get older, these things still happen to people in their 20s and their 30s, wearing white pants or shorts.
Yeah, look at me.
But you'd like to think you'd be a little bit more prepared. But when you're at a young age, it can be it can kind of take you aback a little bit, and it's not a nice thing to have to deal with at a younger age.
No, definitely. How was that for you, Nadia? Clothing. I mean, at PSG, you've got some very fancy kits.
You know us. I mean, it's for me, I think it's important, just in terms of your sports bra, your shorts, your the cycling shorts that you wear under. I know it's hard to say that it's not something that you have to be embarrassed about, but when you're young, it is something that is a really touchy topic, because it's something new and you don't want to get embarrassed in front of your friends. I think for me, maybe we should the main focus should be about like making this like a normal topic subject that is not like a big thing, you know. Yeah, okay, it is what it is, but that's obviously gonna take a lot of time and you know, effort. But I think what we can do is like talk about it freely and openly and say it is not a big deal. It's just like you grown your nail, it's just a part of the human body, you know. Everyone goes through it, and it is what it is. So that will be my, you know, perfect scenario. But of course, I feel like for me, I think sports bras always been really important, which is random because I remember that age when you start having like, you know, like breasts, and I was like so embarrassed most of the time. I was like walking like this, you know. It'll be cool that if it was something that you weren't ashamed about, and it was just like, you know, some cultures you even celebrate this when you're getting your period, while other cultures, they like, you have to hide it because it's associated with something dirty, you know. But that's just, again, lack of education. If we can like educate people on saying this is a normal body and this is how it's supposed to work, then people will hopefully react differently.
Yeah, that's so that's something I agree with. You know, we need to talk about it more. But I was just thinking in my head, you know, obviously little girls need that, but sometimes I think, you know, boys need this education to understand as well. Because I was just literally thinking off the top of my head, there's a TikTok going round, and it's like grown men, and they see how a tampon works, and it's literally like, and they're like, "Whoa, is that what it does?" And I'm like, and I was like, you're a 30 whatever 25-year-old boy, you don't understand what a tampon is. And then I'm thinking, but then why would they understand it?
Yeah.
But then I'm also thinking, you just think it's not general knowledge, but it's something that people probably all know or understand about. But I guess, you know, you think how the girls get about it, the boys get even more embarrassed to hear the word period.
True.
So it should be a normalized thing for both for everyone to then. So then it's easier then for the girls to be like, yeah, this is cool because everybody around me thinks it's normal as well.
Right. Yeah. And I think in this case, education goes both ways. And maybe also interesting to know then, because you have male experts in your team. You maybe have a male coach. Do they speak about periods? Are they okay, or are they like, okay, we're talking periods, leaving the dressing room, or are they part of this conversation?
I think, well, obviously we're in the middle of changing our managers, but when we had Phil Neville previously, I guess he is a dad to a daughter. I don't know whether that makes a difference, but he was always in the conversation. He was always open to it. You know, the staff members could go up and tell him, or you could tell him and be like, you know, Lucy's on a period, or she's feeling this way because of it. You know, we maybe have to change things. And it was like, yeah, no problem. Like, if Lucy's gonna win the game. Or so-and-so's going to win the game next game and she needs this now, no problem. You know, if, like I said before, if you can look at it logically and as a performance thing, then yeah. And I think there obviously are a lot of male professionals within women's sport, and it's just kind of part of the curriculum of female sport. You know, I have that a lot at Man City. A lot of our staff members are male, but it just goes over their head. They're not bothered by it. It's not this, we should be careful. Should we get one of the female staff members to ask them? They're just like, Lucy, are you on your period today? Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of cool that they're like that. But
definitely,
it's something that's changed over recent years for sure. And there's still a lot of male people, staff members who probably aren't as up to date with it. But I think it's quite cool that a lot of the men are being like that. And I think, like I said before, the more men that can be educated and okay with it, then it's going to make it okay for the entire population and things. So they're just as important as the females involved.
Yeah. True. Yeah, I agree. So Nadia, you're studying to become a doctor, and you're currently working on a scientific article about incontinence in relation to sports performance. You told me that you did a research with 105 respondents from Denmark, but I think it's better if you explain a bit more about this research, and because you're in the process of writing a scientific article, which I think is amazing. I mean, you're playing at the PSG, playing at Denmark, also writing a scientific article about this subject, and that's pretty cool. Can you explain a little bit about what you've been doing and why you've been doing it?
Of course. You know, this started like a couple of years ago. The reason I started was because we were I was at the internshipping at the hospital. It was gynecology. I was one of my professors, and we were having a checkup of this woman who was incontinent. So women in general, age between 18 to 34, is really normal to be incontinence. 8% of the women do experience incontinence, involuntary leakage of the urine. And that increases with if you have had children, given birth to children, and with age. And when your cycles or your menstruation, menopause, that increases that 8%. So we were talking about this, and then I thought to myself, because athletes we train so much, and we always thought of these kind of almost superhumans, and this is probably not something that we deal with. That was my thought. That's how it started. And I had this conversation with my professor, and she was like, yeah, that's a really interesting question. Let's figure this out. So we did a survey, and then I asked all the professional football players in Denmark over the age of 18, how they're feeling, how much they trained, and then if there was something that they experienced. And yeah, 33%, it was only 105 people who responded out of the 165 people. And then 33% of the women said that that's something they experienced quite a lot, which is almost 3 times higher than the normal population. And that was a big shock for me, because as I said, we do train a lot, and I always thought that there's not going to be a lot of women who do experience this. But after that research, I was kind of aware of what's going on in the conversation, and this came up, and then some of the girls on the national team start talking about it, and they're like, yeah, I do experience this. Sometimes when we score and I celebrate, I think I leak a bit of urine, and I was like, wow, that's so interesting, and then other was talking about their experiences, and then so yeah, and I started writing this article. I haven't really finished it. I'm at the end stages of this article. It's been taking me ages because I hate writing. So yeah, this is gonna be my thesis, and it's really interesting again because it's not for me, what was the most interesting part with this is because there's always kind of like your period, there's this shame associated with talking about this kind of stuff. Oh, I leak urine, but it's not something that you want. It just happens because of you've been training so hard, because of you're a woman, So for me, what interesting is this something that you can change by training? Secondly, are there girls who do stop following their professional career or following their sport because of this issue? So that's the 2 things that I want to answer, and hopefully at the end I can provide a solution to this problem. So yeah, that was the short
the very short
yeah.
Yeah, no, it sounds very amazing to me. By just doing this research and by writing this article, you're opening up a conversation. As you just said, when you spoke to, was this at PSG or at Denmark that you spoke about the research and then they
Denmark
responded on Denmark? Yeah,
with the national team.
Yeah, so it's really, I think it's really interesting how it sparks up a conversation that you might never ever had before, where your teammate is kind of confessing that she might leak some urine when she's celebrating a goal. So Lucy, when you hear this, what's your first reaction on this?
That I've never heard of this kind of research before. Funny enough, because I feel like I probably have heard small conversations about this before, but you don't realize how common it is. I'm sat there writing down some of these facts and figures, and I'm like, that's quite a common thing. But again, it's like this period subject, like Nadia said. Is it a little bit taboo? Like people are embarrassed or something? But it's something that happens to a lot of people. And again, if it's something that affects you or has an effect on your performance or even how you feel about yourself or what have you, then it obviously something that should be looked into. Like Nadia said, find out the information and then try and find a way out of fixing it or a solution, or just more information around it, or even just the information that sometimes if you understand something and you have the information, just that alone makes you feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
That you have that understanding of what's going on with your own body. It's your own body. You'd like to think that you know it better than anybody else, but there are some things that are unknown. And I mean, that's a subject that I can't say that I've heard spoken about widely or a common subject. So it is interesting. It'll be interesting to see the finished article as well.
I'll send it to you, Lucy.
Yes. I'll send it to Dawn Scott as well.
Definitely. And I think something that is interesting when I work with this kind of stuff is because I know, as Lucy was talked about this, is athletes are so keen to improve their performance. They're so keen and they are so professional when it comes to, I'm a bit injured here. Okay, let's work this muscle for you to not get this injury again. We do it all the time. We do this before training. We do it after training. Everywhere you go, we do it all the time. But it's such a little thing. If you could just make the girls train your pelvic floor muscle, which is a part of why you do league. If you just train that proper, if someone is like saying, do this program twice a week and you're going to avoid having this issue. Imagine like how many people we could help. And when I say it's like one thing is just leaking in training, but one thing is that they leak a lot. Some of these girls that we had in our research. And for me, again, it's such an easy thing to fix. But because if it's as a taboo or is associated with shame and because of like ignorance and we don't know much about it, no one talks about this. And I think as we talked about, the more professional the women's game gets, the more focus is going to be on these little small stuff that at the end is going to make you perform better and hopefully like increase the level of the sport.
Yeah, so one of your teammates, Lucy, Jordan Nobbs, Arsenal and England midfielder, says that her menstrual cycle could have been a high factor in her injury and that more research can be done into the links between the anterior cruciate ligament injuries and periods. And Nadia, you've been conducting this research. Do we need more research and why is this so important?
I think we definitely need more research across women's sport in general, and especially if it's areas that not only are going to increase performance but help injuries. And obviously I'm really good friends with Jordan, and she spoke to me a lot about this, and there's more information now than when she did her ACL, and maybe there's steps that she might have took then that could have prevented it or helped even with the recovery process. And these are people's livelihoods. I know it is just football, but it's your career and you want to make the most of it.
Right.
And it's a short career at that as well. So, you don't want to be taking years out being injured or rehabbing, or even being injured and rehabbing. You live with that injury for the rest of your life as well, even after you've retired. So yeah, the more information and the more research that can be done, then the better it's going to be for the players that are playing. And like we said, if we can get these things that are performance enhancing as well, make the performance on the pitch better, make the game better to watch, then you've got that effect again. The better the game is to watch, the more people who watch it, the more media, the more sponsorships, the more money, the more research. And, you keep getting this ball that's constantly rolling. Everything's getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, so, we want to get bigger and better.
Lucy.
So, the little thing, there's 1% things that we speak about. It has another 1% on the next thing or 2% on the next thing. So it is going to make a difference to our entire sport.
Definitely.
And the research. And I just think someone who has been injured and a lot when I was younger, if I could have avoided them in the slightest, oh my God, that would have been the best thing that ever happened in my entire career, let alone winning trophies. Not being injured is worse than the feeling of like, which would you give up? I think missing football for 2 years like I did, sometimes I think I'd give up some of the trophies to have not missed those 2 years.
Yeah.
Very sick.
And Nadia, I mean, you've been doing this, you're writing this article. What's your main goal by doing this? Is it also to get more attention for more research into these kinds of topics?
Well, it started out because I was curious, and secondly, because I wanted to do my thesis. So this article is going to count as my thesis when I'm going to finish my studies. But now for me, it's become more like, this is something that I could we can improve. So when I'm done with this research, I'm gonna sit down with one of the physios, on like strength and coaches on the national team, or someone who's like really expert on the area, and say, how can we develop a program? And then how do we do a follow-up research to see the girls who are having this issue? We give them the programs, and then 2-3 months later, we're gonna see, are you having the same issues? So for me, it's just like solving a problem, I guess. And yeah, because I just thought I was curious, sometimes you start up thinking about something, and in my case, I got to act on it, which is pretty cool. And I, as Lucy was in it, I hope there's going to be more research that is like designed for women athletes, because there could be a lot of research, but one thing that people have to understand, that we're built so differently. One thing that you're talking about the ACL, just because you have wider hips and the angle to your knees, that makes it like totally different from how your knees is built to a man's, So,
wow, yeah.
So in this kind of, there are little stuff that you just have to pay attention to. And I hope, and I'm definitely going to be a part of, like that group that's going to do everything to like, to find out the solutions, and hopefully, make the game better in that term.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. And can we like put a deadline on this article, so for the people who are listening that they know,
God.
like, okay, this
No
article's
pressure.
coming out.
No pressure. I'm like, how are you
coming
gonna do
somewhere.
me? How are you gonna do me like
sorry,
that, bro? I
Maybe
don't know.
somewhere
Like,
this year.
No. I want to finish this like March. I've done a lot. Actually, if I could turn on my camera, you can see like papers of like fill here. I want to finish it because it's been like such a weight on my shoulder, because as I said, I love finding solution, but I feel I found the solution in my brain. Now I just have to write it, and I'm really bad. And like, I don't know, somehow I'm really not great in like writing stuff. So yeah.
Okay, no pressure at all. Just people, just be on the lookout. It's coming, and it's great that you're doing one day, someday. So, do you think that there's anything that clubs, team managers, etc., anyone should be doing differently? And is there any advice that you'd like to share to any of these people listening?
I think they should like be aware of that. There's a lot of research going on right now, and like be open to the changes. And I think very important for me is that you don't apply the same rules that are applied on the men's side, on the women's side. Yeah, of course, majority, yes, but there's certain stuff that you have to be aware of if you really want to reach, the next level. So that's and I know a lot of places that they are doing this, but I hope it's going to spread a bit more.
Yeah, I think similarly, like, the information is there now. It's accessible as well. You can probably write in Twitter and you'd be able to find so you
easy
look, search Dawn Scott's name on Twitter and it'll probably be somewhere there. Here we go.
Let me find this.
Well, yeah, like if you can. I had it when I had to find a girls' team when I was 12 years old. I had to find a girls' team. My mum went on Google. I googled it. It's the same now. You can Google anything. Other search engines are available, but like you can just look up on the internet. The information's there for people to see. Yeah. And similarly to what Nadia said, I think there is information. We must also be careful with it. It's not one rule for everybody. We have to appreciate that, but just be open to it, and just be open to learning and to listening. If you're a coach, be open to listening. And if you're a player, you just have to just ask questions, That's the only way we learn in life anyway, is you just got to be open to asking questions and receiving the information.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And what would you say to our younger audience listening to this, and who may be experiencing all of these changes with their body for the first time? We're talking educate yourself, Google, but what would you say to them? What advice would you give them?
I think they've just got to remember that they're not on their own, ultimately. Half the world's population's with them on this, and being through something like this in some way, shape or form. They're not alone, and there'll always be someone there that can then help you, even if it means you have to reach out and find them. It might be someone at school, it might be a teacher. You know, my mum's a teacher. I know that she's had young girls come up to her at school asking her questions because they might not be comfortable at home, or they might not have someone, their friends or what have you. You know, you can always find someone. But just remember that there's a lot of people going through these same things. So don't be ashamed of it. Be proud of it, and just own it. You know, learn about your body, learn about yourself, because it's the only one you're ever gonna get.
Yeah, true.
This is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of your knowledge, your experiences, your research. So thanks for that. And I think that it's time to play a game. So this is a game. It is called Guess Who. And I have to say, Lucy, Nadia's pretty good at all of these games that we've been playing.
That was sick last time. I was like killing it. Lucy, good luck. No, I'm kidding.
So this is a game where I will like give a description about... Do you have a pen there, Lucy? Are you writing things down?
She's taking notes.
Are you making notes?
I do have a pen.
Yeah.
Are you making notes? I'm gonna get my notepad here. I'm like, I'm ready.
I was like, okay, Lucy came prepared. Okay.
Thank you.
So I've got 3 players. I'm gonna, of course, do them one by one. I'm gonna give a description, and then I will give you some tips. So the first player that I'm gonna give a description about is a forward player. So she's an attacker. She's scoring goals. But then if you think you know who it is, just call out your name, and then you get your turn.
Oh, wow.
And
How many guesses do we get?
Yeah, that's a good
you
one.
can just
keep guessing.
Yeah, you can just throw him in.
Yeah.
You
One
can guess.
guess? No, that could.
No, one guess.
Should be 1 or 2. Yeah, because otherwise I'd be like coming with names. So I'm gonna be like, okay, Alex Morgan.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be like Ada Hegerberg, Ellen White,
Kirby. Come on, man.
Katatoto.
Okay, 3 shots. All right,
Okay.
3 shots. Is that fair?
Damn. Okay.
Okay. First one is a forward. She played for FC Robo, Rivers Angels, Liverpool, Arsenal, Dalian Kwanjan, and is now playing for Barcelona.
Lucy. Yeah. Super Z. Ashwala.
Yes!
Oh,
What?
that's good.
That's quick!
I said a nickname
That's
and a name.
really good.
Oh. Because you played with her at Liverpool?
I didn't play
Oh,
with
it wasn't
her,
the same time.
but a lot of my friends, have played
That's
with
good.
her.
That's good.
I got a lot of good stories about her. A lot of funny stories.
Ah, nice.
She sounds like a great character.
Nice.
Cool.
I'm sad Shanice is not here tonight, because I tell Shanice that Ashwala always tries to copy Shanice's hairstyles. She gets. I'm like, Shanice, you setting these styles, and the girls are all copying you now.
Oh my god, I'm just gonna think.
And she's like, no, she's like, I did it first.
Trendsetting.
Yeah, so maybe they'll have like a hair off now. They're gonna try and challenge each
My
other.
We should do it.
Hairstyles.
We should do a
You know, this
competition.
Shanice is very proud of what she does with the hairstyles.
Yeah, that's her thing.
That's
All right,
her
cool.
thing.
So 1 goal up, Lucy. Okay,
My
Nadia.
god, man.
Come on.
That was
Come
good.
on.
That was good.
That was really good. Okay, second one. She is a midfielder. She played for Team Viborg, IK
Nadia.
Stofbakken.
Nadia, I say harder.
Pernille Harder?
Oh yes.
You got
that was
it
easy
already.
though.
Yeah, because of the sorry, Lucy, because of the Danish football club.
Of course.
Look at her being happy.
That was easy.
Okay, 1-1. So the last one, this is it.
The tiebreaker.
All right, she's a defender.
Oh my god.
Okay. She played for Essor Préchontin, Rapid Club Doulourin, and Lyon. Has over 100
Nadia!
caps for her national.
Nadia, I say Wendy Renard. Is that her? No!
Yeah, it's correct.
Lucy!
Oh, Wendy.
It's correct.
I hope
Hooray!
Wendy's not listening to this. She'll be so mad. I was going to guess Wendy, but then I was like, oh, there's a lot of defenders who
I
have been
know.
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Lucy.
Oh, she's going to be mad now.
Your teammate.
You don't.
Next time you see her, don't
Your
tell her.
teammate.
Oh my gosh. Well, great start, Lucy. But yeah, Nadia just I don't know. She's a pro at these
Tip.
games, right? But so nice. Look at her being
It's
so
an
happy.
experience, isn't it?
It is. You have to make some miles on the podcast.
I'm only 29. I've not got as many years
shut up!
experience.
Shut
She's calling you old.
It's the brains. It's the brains.
All things come to an end, and we talked about periods and pee and how they should not be a taboo. We also spoke about the importance of research to the female body in relation to performance. Frontrunners like Dawn Scott and our very own Nadia are paving the way. More teams understanding the importance of building training schedules and programs, especially designed for the female body. The women's game is getting faster and more physically demanding. It's important to tackle these demands by creating an optimal performance environment for female athletes. And there is still a very long way to go, but we're making progress, even by making this episode to create more awareness and share knowledge. Make sure to join the conversation by using hashtag WePlayStrong, subscribe, comment, and share. And let us know what you think of our podcast. And while you're at it, tell all of your friends to come and check us out. So we hope you've enjoyed this episode. It was a very special one. I really enjoyed it. And thanks for being with us today, Lucy. And thank you, Nadia. And thanks for listening. Stay tuned for our next episodes. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Adios.